Welcome to the Grit and Grow podcast, where we talk to guests who are pursuing excellence in both sport and life, who encourage and motivate us to become better mentors, coaches, parents, and athletes. My name is Shane Sowden, head men's basketball coach at Speargrass College, and also your co-host.
And my name is Justin Simpkins, co-host and director of Prairie Hockey Academy. Welcome back to the second part of our conversation with University of Wisconsin assistant coach Jackie Crum. This one hits deep. Jackie shares what drives her as a coach and a parent, and how her faith keeps her steady through the pressures and the wins. We really connect with her perspective and the way that she approaches her work. Hope you enjoyed Jackie's expertise in this one. Jackie, I think you've been coaching, you're going into your 17th season. So you have a lot of this experience now to draw on these stories, which is cool. At an NCAA powerhouse, and but what's the best part of that coaching for you?
Gosh, what's the best part? Best part is the relationships for me. I mean, I'm pretty relational orientated. Ask my husband, and so it's so fun to have these connections with players, and still to this day. And it's being in it for, quite a long time now. I'm getting, invites to weddings and birth announcements. Players are getting married, having kids, and, talking to some players that are older now and new moms, talking to them about that, or just, now the players are in the PWHL, and, that's super cool too. And just the relationships that you have with the players, to me, are just so great. It's so fun. That's kind of why I do what I do. It's just mentoring them, and still being in contact with them is really cool. And it's really funny because now, watching, PWHL on, we can watch it on TV. And so my girls are 7 and 5, and I'll be like, oh, Blair Turnbull's on that, or Auntie Carla's coaching, the Ottawa Charge. And they'll be like, and Britta Curl is on, and they're like, who do we cheer for, Mom? And I was like, I don't know. Because you just have so many connections in the sport, which is cool. And, when the Olympics come around, it's the same thing. And I just feel like, kind of at this point in my career, a proud mama bear. That's kind of where I'm at with all these players and not even just success on the ice, but off the ice too, just in their lives as, doctors and moms, and, just all these cool careers that these new players are doing too is really fascinating.
Well, Jackie, coaching at the Division I level in 2025, what's the most challenging aspect of that?
I think what I talked about before is that you have all these phenomenal athletes and hockey players, and they're the best where they come from. And we're trying to recruit the best and bring the best in, and then you're trying to morph them into this team. And to have them all come together for a common goal as a team, and they all have individual goals. And we totally understand that, but trying to get them to all come together with the challenges that come, with the team. So, I think that is a challenge every year that probably every coach, is going through. We're not in the NLI. We kind of briefly talked about that, but we're not quite in that, I guess, position where, footballs and basketballs are. So, I think that would be quite challenging, but we're not quite there with the money issue. But I would say that would be, for us, challenging, is, trying to, maybe somebody who's playing on our third or fourth line would be actually on a number one line at a different program. So having them, stay the course and understand that they will develop and they'll get there, and instead of transferring out, and understanding that. So for us, that can be difficult sometimes.
Well, even just what's hard about that? Just like those, yeah. What's hard about that?
It's hard. These players everyone wants to play, and there's only so much playing time. So there's only so much, there's 60 minutes in a game. It's how do you divvy it up? And so that's tough. Trying to, have them understand the big picture. When you're 18, you're like this, you're not like this. So how do you get them to look at the big picture and understand that this is a 4-year process, not a 1-year process?
It sounds like one of those adulting conversations. We, but I agree. I think this is a challenge every coach goes through and wrestles with the playing time conversation. You just talked about a third or fourth line, athlete that you'll have, and they could pursue first line minutes somewhere else. How do you stay engaged and build that relationship with a third line player that may be feeling they're not getting the same attention or ice time? Like, what are the steps that you take as a coach to stay engaged them on their development, help them see those big pictures? Like, what are those conversations like?
Yeah, I think we're fortunate that we're still playing our fourth line. It's not like they're sitting there watching, the game
Mhm.
at all. So they are getting minutes. It's skills. I do extra skills with them. So we're working on things that maybe they need to improve at, watching game film and just making sure that everyone feels valued. Just because you're not on the first power play doesn't mean you're not valued member of this team. Everyone has a role, and buying into that role and understanding that it's valuable. And if you don't, we don't have a championship team. We don't have a national championship team whatsoever. So understanding that, yeah, I think that's huge, is you have to feel valued.
What does feeling valued look like to you? I'm really curious, right? I think that's
mean,
my, yeah.
it's feeling, teammates value you. You're not, oh gosh, you're making me be a psychologist here today, which I did
No.
not take.
That's what we are as coaches. We have to wear on like 20 hats, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm just curious, like, if I'm a young coach listening to you today, I'm like, well, I think I'm doing that. But what does Jackie do? Because she's she's a national championship winning coach and has built these teams and programs and this culture. That's my question, right? Is so how do you do that? Right, Jackie? You're building relationships, but now you're spending extra time. Are you putting together a player development plan for them? Are you doing one-on-ones for them? Are you having them over for dinner? Like, what is it that you do to value them so that they stick around? What's some cheat codes?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So all the above. I do skills in the mornings with these players. So it's touch points, right? So, you're skating around the ice for a young coach. Are you going to be able to say hi to 24 players, in 5 minutes? Probably not. But if you're an assistant coach, can you have touch points with your players? Can you talk to them briefly in line? Hey, how was your day? How was school? While they're waiting for their turn in whatever drill, after practice, if you have extra ice time, are you checking in with them? We get grade reports, and, I'll see, oh, hey, I just saw you ace that test at, in sociology, like, way to go. So proud of you. So, things like that. Obviously the extra skills, I think spending time with them, can you do individual video that helps and says, you're here, you're not quite here. How can we get you here? And say, we need to work on X. So, hey, next week, let's spend time working on X when we have a skill session together. Inviting them over for dinner. Obviously everyone's busy. I'm busy, but, we'll have freshman dinner at my house. I'll have everyone over in the summer. Obviously we do a bunch of team building events. Everybody does that. I'm not, inventing this. And so, things like that. Another thing we do, I'm sure some programs are doing it too. We have mentors. And so an upperclassman is a mentor for a freshman coming into our program. And so I set it up in the spring. It's their buddy that they can text and they talk to, and make sure that, they have, they're doing something on the weekend, or if they have any questions, that person is taking them under their wing. So immediately they feel included in this team. They're not just this freshman left on an island. It's like, no, Sally's going to take Susie and they're going down to the Union to hang out on Friday night and listening to a band, or I'm not sure, do I bring my skates, my full equipment? What do I do? So they have a touch point there. So just a whole bunch of little things. I think it's not one magic answer. I don't think.
I think it's great. I think it's the talent code, I want to say, by Daniel Coyle. No, it's not the talent code. Culture system. The
I
Culture
haven't read
System
that.
by I think it's Daniel Coyle. Yeah, I think Daniel Coyle wrote The Culture System. And in there, he talks a lot about Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs
Oh, cool.
and how building culture, and it comes down to touch points. You just mentioned it, so I think that love it. Greg talks about as he would walk onto the court before practice with the Spurs, and he would actually, he's like, a touch is a big thing for him too. So he would kind of walk up and he might be Tim Duncan and he's like, just kind of put his hand on the back of his elbow or something like that. And like, hey, how's this going at home? Or what's going on here? And just like those like little touch points, 5-10 minutes before practice, like you talked about, and just how much that builds relationships. Right. And then opens up further conversations after practice if needed, or pieces. Right. So
yeah, Jackie, you said something really briefly few moments ago on adversity. And I'm fascinated by just like playing hockey in Regina, Saskatchewan, moved to Wisconsin, playing Division I hockey there. Then you spent, was it 3 seasons overseas, playing in Switzerland and the Czech Republic?
Yep.
And then you come back, you start your coaching career. So yeah, I'm just curious, like, I'm guessing you faced adversity in different situations in those different scenarios. But I'm just like, what's your relationship with that adversity, and how do you view that? And are there any stories of like how that shaped you?
I mean, we have this saying. I mean, this year was a kind of a phenomenal year. I mean, there's little adversities here and there, and we always have this saying, Monday always comes. I've been in it long enough that, I've won championships. I've also lost in championship games. So I know the feeling of both. And what does it feel like? I mean, it feels horrible when you lose. It feels riveting when you win, but Monday comes. And I have some funny stories with, winning championships and understanding that. I think for me, and just like my faith and what my life is about, it's not the be all and end all. I mean, man, I'm competitive. I want to win every year, like no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, Monday comes, and you win a championship on a Sunday, Monday comes, Tuesday comes, and Tuesday people are asking you, what's your team going to be like next year? Are you going to repeat? So you have about 24 hours to enjoy this championship. And then everyone moves on. It's not like the world stops and you are just celebrated forever and ever, and life stops. And so also having kids, I think, puts that into perspective. I mean, when we won in COVID in 21, it was closed off for the championship. And so we got on a plane and I got back and I had not even a 1-year-old, and not even almost a 3-year-old. And I remember getting back at 2 a.m, and at 6 a.m, my husband had been with these kids for 10 days and was like pretty much at his wit's end. And, having 4 hours of sleep, having won and being on this high, and then being 6 a.m, my almost 3-year-old woke me up and was like, Mommy's home. And it was just like, oh my goodness, like back to real life, So, I think things like that puts, your job into perspective and adversity into perspective, and that, there will be challenges. Like, and I think you just go through, maybe Shane, to like coaching, like something's going to happen during the season. Is it an injury? Is it a losing streak? Is it major conflict between teammates? And you're not really surprised anymore. Maybe you're a little bit disappointed that like, I wish it would have been a perfect season. But when it happens, you're kind of like, oh, yep, here it goes. So what are we going to do? Are we going to throw in the towel? Are we going to, take it, and be excited about it and be like, okay, well, what are we going to learn? And kind of have that, I think, learning mindset of like, what can I learn from this? How can these, players work this out, or this team issue, or, okay, we're losing. Well, why? Maybe we don't know why. Maybe we're still playing well, and different things like that. So maybe you just have a different perspective as you get older, and you've been through it more than once, I guess. I don't know if that's answered your question.
No, for sure. You almost seem to anticipate it. You're like, what's going to happen.
Yes.
You've taken off the glasses of like, oh, this is going to be the most amazing season. Everything's going to go right. No, it never just goes that way. So you're almost like, okay, looking for the warning signs, and then anticipating it, and then learning to relish in it in some ways, because it can be a massive opportunity.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Hey listeners, Shane here. A few years ago, my wife and I purchased a new home, and we were really excited to move in, but it needed one thing. We were unhappy with the basement. We needed a major renovation. We wanted a space where us and our 3 grown boys would want to spend time together. Hang out, play games, watch a game, but most importantly, just be together. That's when we called Speargrass Homes. They are professional, detailed, but most importantly, you could feel they genuinely wanted to get the space right for us. Not just a nice looking basement, but one that worked for us. One where we wanted to be, and one where we wanted to be together, and invite others to be together with us. Now it's our favorite spot in the house. We all hang out there. We've even had the boys' basketball team over for some team building. Anyways, if you're looking to transform some space at home into a place people actually want to be, Speargrass gets it. They do renovations, new homes, windows and doors, all sorts of projects. And with, most importantly, integrity. Trustworthy, thoughtful, easy to work with. You can find them at speargrasshomes.ca. SPEARGRASSHOMES.ca.
And Jackie, you mentioned briefly mentioned a bit, about your faith and just your purpose in your life. I mean, maybe tell us a little bit. How does your faith integrate in your day-to-day as a coach?
I think just having like that perspective of this isn't my be all and end all. I don't know how you want to say that, but my sole purpose in life is not to win national championships. Like, yes, like I said, it's amazing, it's fun.
Although you're getting good at it.
Well, thanks.
I mean,
but my faith in Jesus and understanding, just because I win doesn't mean I'm going to heaven. Like what is, where is my faith and where's my my understanding of that? So I mean, to me, that has kept me grounded, I think. And I think that kind of helps the ups and downs. Certainly for me, as a coach in sport, because there's certainly ups and there's certainly downs when you're coaching, big time. And so having that grounding, having that faith, for me, I don't know if I could do this job if I didn't have it, to be honest, because I think I would just have been on this emotional roller coaster. So I think, and I think another thing too, like I could put my hands up and have rings, obviously my wedding ring, but all these rings, but when I die, I mean, they're not going to heaven with me. Like they're just going to be passed down to my kids and like, great, cool. Mom has these big championship rings, but like, that's not what life is all about. And I think if you understand that, I think that's super, super helpful. And what's the big picture in life? That's not it for sure. It's great, but that's not what life is about.
I'm curious, given your opportunity and the platform that you have as a coach in Wisconsin, and I think your team just won the 8th national championship as a program this past year. Understanding that as your purpose and knowing that without you said without your faith, you're not sure you could kind of stay in this role. It sounds to me like each day when you head to the rink or to your office and you have this opportunity, because you've talked lots about mentoring already and adulting, right? And teaching these young athletes, I think you're grounding. How much do your student athletes recognize some of that? And how often are you able to, if you are, sharing your faith in maybe just in how you go about your day to day?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we're a public university, and so
Yep.
I mean, it's not Briarcrest where you can talk about that. There are athletes in action is very prevalent at the university, but to me, it's just it's by my love for these athletes. I think that's is what shows. I would like to think my faith it comes out in my love for my my players. And actions, I think, speak loud, and so I'd like to think that they can see that in me, and you know um like I said, I mean, some players obviously have the same faith, so you can talk about it, but I mean, it may be a little bit different at a public university. But certainly, yeah, I think it's just having a love for life, love to come to the rink, and love for my student athletes, and I hopefully that shines through.
Jackie, you're a mom of two girls, I want to say. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're a coach at a Division I program, which is awfully demanding on your time. I know that your husband, Tim's also a professional. Being a mom of two in a role like this mustn't be simple. But you talked about how your family is grounding as well. Tell me a little bit about how you juggle it all.
Does anyone really juggle it all?
How do you do it so
Everyone.
gracefully? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, if you were in my house, you would think so. You have to plan ahead as much as you can, I think is helpful. I think, there's pros and cons, certainly. And every job has that as well. And so, cons, obviously, time away from family is tough. My girls understand that. I mean, my husband's been amazing. I think it was a lot harder when they were younger. That was very, very tough. And, as they get a little bit older, it's a little bit easier. I think for me, also having, how do you say this? No, I don't want to say standards, but having parameters maybe is being able to turn it on and off. And that's a lot easier said than done. But having when I was, not married and didn't have a family, I would take phone calls anytime, recruits like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. But now I'm trying to be off. I'm off from 5 to 8 p.m. when my kids go to bed. And so if I'm not going to schedule calls with recruits at that time. I'll do it during the day and then maybe when they go to bed at night. But making sure that I'm trying to turn my phone off. Sometimes I don't do a very good job of that, but also trying to have those hours intentional with my family. I mean, you're always thinking about work. Everyone has it, whatever profession they are. So, but just setting that standard there has been helpful for me a lot. I mean, there's, obviously tough parts of my job. I'm gone, but then the cool experiences that my girls have been able to, do is now that they're getting older and they kind of understand it a little bit more has been really kind of cool, like understanding going on trips. And so being able to take them, to the Frozen Four, WCHA championships. Funny story. 2 years ago, we were in New Hampshire. And so obviously whole family came. We lost in the championship game. And so a couple of weeks before that, I took she was 6 at the time, daughter to WCHAs and we won. And so she just has this skewed perception that mommy wins all the time, which we don't, but we won. And so it was exciting. My parents were there. We were in Minneapolis, I believe. And then 2 weeks later, we're off to New Hampshire, championship game. We lose. So I'm, 1-0. We're down in the coach's room and, like what just happened? You're replaying the whole game with the staff. And I get a phone call from my husband and he's like, hey, can you get up to the stands? He's like, we're sitting here. And he's like, Riley, 6-year-old, he's like, she will not stop crying. And I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, she's sobbing that you lost. And he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm sorry you lost, but can you come up here? Okay. So walk up there, just sobbing, but mom, they have fireworks. They won the trophy. You didn't win the trophy. What are we going to do? And then sitting there and trying to console her and being like, well, not everyone makes it to the championship game and we're so fortunate, and trying to be like, we don't win every year, and just trying to console her was just like really, really, really interesting, and also kind of helpful for me to be like, okay, we still had a really great year. That was amazing. But like, oh my gosh, we lost. That really sucks. So thankfully this year we won. So she was like, just super excited. And then having those moments, they were out on the ice and they know the players now and they're at the age they have a favorite player. And so I have great pictures of them being on the ice, cutting down the net with the team, and just cool experiences like that. So yes, it's hard, but there's also little amazing moments that your kids can experience as well. And there's some flexibility during the down time in the season that you have as well. So can you balance it all? I don't think anyone can, whatever profession they're in. It's being a stay-at-home mom or a professional mom. It's just all tough. I mean, if I never have to meal plan again, I will just be so pumped, you know.
I've heard that before from my wife a few times.
Yeah,
I'm
funny.
starting to get a little PTSD here. Anyways, yeah.
Growth in the women's game, the female game, has been significant over the last handful of years, Jackie.
Mhm.
Tell me what you're most excited about moving forward for female hockey, PWHL, Olympics, growth in the NCAA. What's really got your attention right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hype of the PWHL has my attention. I mean, to have a plan after. And so, I mean, obviously there were some leagues here and there and they could go over and play in Europe, but the money wasn't there as well. So I can't imagine myself, after college being able to go play in the PWHL and actually having the opportunity for these players to develop more because, they're not peaking. Like male hockey players peaking at 21, 22. I mean, so much in the past, these players were like, well, I don't really have anywhere to play, so I'm done. But what if they played 3 or 4 more years? Maybe they could have made the national team and
Yeah.
they hadn't set the bar. They haven't hit their ceiling yet. So seeing these players have the opportunity to one, keep playing, make some money doing it, um, having a draft, like it's so cool. And then not only that, but having young female hockey players be able to watch it, having it on TV. Like I can't imagine being 9 or 10 myself and being able to watch female hockey on TV. Like how much more would that have, spurred my love for the game or just, my goals, where I mean, I remember 98 watching it. What was I in ninth grade? And just being so excited to watch women's hockey on TV. I'd never seen it before and now it's just normal. And, my 5-year-old is like, Mommy, is this boys or girls hockey? And I was like, wow, like what a question to ask. Like,
Yeah.
I never had that. Or you ask a young girl, oh, who's your favorite hockey player? For me, it would have been like, oh, Joe Sackett, Joe Thornton. Now it's like,
Yep.
Anne Renee Debian, it's, Sarah Nurse, so like they have these female hockey players to look up to. We didn't have that. It's so cool.
Yeah, that part's really neat. I think we're seeing the Jessica Campbells of the world, right? Break down some barriers and start coaching men's hockey and then all the way to the National League. What do you feel like women coaches maybe face different pressures than men, and do you continue to see the growth of that female coaches actually coaching inside the men's game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's breaking barriers with that. That's super cool. I mean, I don't think she's going to be the first one. I mean, there's going to be more to follow
Yeah.
her footsteps in that. And then just even I think of myself like growing up, like, hey, what did you want to be when you grew up? Well, I want to be a high school phys ed teacher. There was no like, I want to be a college coach. That's not a career. Now it's a career.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I think anytime you're the first female or you're the first to do something, there's going to be more pressure on you for sure. And then hopefully it'll lessen. And even what I'm seeing cool that is there's more female coaches in the game that are having families and staying in the game. And
Yeah.
when I first started, I remember thinking, when I have a family, I'm done. There's no way I can do this. And you can. I mean, is it easy? No. But you see more and more people doing it. And then the younger coaches coming into the game are like, oh yeah, I can do this. This can be a career. I can have a family and it's cool. So there's a lot of coaches out there all across the NCAA and youth sport as well. I know a few too that have families. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think you're even seeing it in the game, right? There's an advertisement on TSN or Sportsnet of I don't know who the girl is on the Canadian program, but it's like an ad where her daughter's like watching her practice.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're seeing that even in the professionals are like, hey, they're
Yeah.
having families as well, and they're staying in the game, which is great. So I don't, Jackie, this has been great. I think you've given us a lot. I really appreciate your time and your transparency on building relationships, your heart to see your student athletes adult and grow in their character and responsibility. And you've given me a lot today. I appreciate it, the conversation. So
Yeah, really enjoyed, Jackie. Thank you for coming on. That was awesome.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Grit and Growth Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed today's guest and the answers that they were able to give and the stories they were able to tell. If you did enjoy today's episode, we'd ask that you would just follow or subscribe to our podcast. It does help us get the word out and our message. Thanks again. Have a great day.